Thanks for staying with us, everyone. Well, let's start tonight's program with the Federal Executive Council meeting, which has approved the establishment of 8 new universities in Nigeria. While briefing State House correspondents after the council meeting, the Minister of State for Education, Professor Anthony Anwoka, enumerated the universities to include the Anchor University, Ayobo, Lagos, which is owned by the Deeper Christian Life Ministry, of Jarvis University, Akwabuyo, Cross River State, and run by the Clayton House, Nigeria Limited, and Clifford University, Owerinta, Abia, to be run by the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Others include Coal City University, Enugu, owned by African Thinkers Community of Inquiry College of Education, Enugu, and Crown Hill University, Kwara, by the Modern Morgie and Sons Limited. The council also approved the completion of the renovation work at the Port Harcourt International Airport in Rivers State. And now to our main topic tonight, the directive by the National Assembly to INEC, ordering INEC to conduct all pending elections in Rivers State on or before December the 10th, 2016. The senators said at plenary today that they'd even go ahead and suspend plenary if INEC fails to comply with that directive. The motion was sponsored by Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu, and he described it as a breach. He described INEC's failure to conduct elections in Rivers as a breach of the Electoral Act. Furthermore, the House of Representatives had yesterday urged the Independent National Electoral Commission to immediately conduct all outstanding elections in Rivers State. The motion was brought on the matters of urgent national importance by the Minority Leader of the House, Leo Ogo, and supported by 5 other lawmakers. The House noted that the people in the affected federal constituencies are being denied their constitutionally guaranteed rights to representation in the National and State Assemblies. The House has mandated its Committee on Legislative Compliance and Electoral Matters to ensure adherence with the House resolutions and return to the House in 2 weeks with a confirmed date for the election. Well, joining me now to discuss this issue is the Minority Leader of the House of Representatives, Honorable Leo Ogo. He's in our Abuja studios. Thank you for joining us on the program. Honorable Ogo, the National Assembly, both the lower and the upper chamber, has given INEC an ultimatum to conduct elections in Rivers on or before December the 10th, 2016. But one key issue that INEC has raised over time is the issue of insecurity and volatility in some of these areas, in Rivers State in particular. Is this not also a source of concern for the lawmakers?
Well, first, let me thank you very much for raising the issue of insecurity. Let's appreciate the fact that INEC is an independent body as a creation of the provision of Section 153 of the Constitution. Be mindful of the fact that, we had some major challenges recently during the insurgency in a place like Borno, Yobe, and I think some part of Adamawa. During that height of insurgency, INEC, under the leadership of Professor Jega, was able to conduct election in Borno State. They did conduct election in Yobe State. I find it totally unacceptable, morally bankrupt, for anybody to tell us that in a state where there is respect for the rule of law, where the security agencies are all there, just in ordinary 8 local government, INEC cannot conduct election because of insecurity. I think, you can say this to somebody else. The issue of insecurity is a non-existing issue in Rivers State. We all visit Rivers State on a continuous basis. So I don't want anybody to sell us a bit that is totally inconsistent with what is actually in Rivers State. I pass through Rivers State on a continuous basis when going to Delta State, and the place is quite peaceful. So for anybody to tell you that he or she cannot conduct election in Rivers State, he or she is being definitely economical with the truth.
Okay, Honorable
What we are saying is that it is clearly a constitutional responsibility.
Okay, Honorable Ogo, if security is not a case or is not a big issue as you claim in Rivers State, what then would you say is the reason why INEC has been unable to conduct elections since December 2015 to these seats in Rivers?
I believe INEC will be in a better position to answer that question. because they know what actually is holding them back from conducting election in Rivers State. I don't want to go into the politics of Rivers State over the issue of the election, but what we are saying is that you cannot deprive the Nigerian people the right of that representation. It is a constitutional responsibility. It's created there under the provision of Section 48, 49, 91, and definitely it is important that the people be represented, because the representative is their voice in the National Assembly. What we're practicing today is democracy. It is not any form of government, and democracy operates through the system of representation. So we need to understand what we are talking about. Let me advise that, you see, we need to strengthen our institutions. This institution is a clear creation of the Constitution, and it is stated there that it is independent. Independent means that it is not an appendage of any other organization. So they should carry out their responsibility, except they are telling us that they don't have the capacity to carry out that responsibility. Then it is left for them to say, no, we can't do this job. Let's get competent hands that will be able to conduct a free and fair election for us in any place that there is the need for us to have election.
Okay, Section 76, subsection 2 of the 1999 Constitution says elections to the National Assembly will be on a date chosen by INEC, but it shall not be earlier than 60 days before or later than the date which the House, as the case is now, the National Assembly stands dissolved. The 8th Assembly has until 2019 before its tenure runs out. Doesn't that mean INEC still has time or some time on its hands to conduct these elections?
No. You need to look at, that is the beginning of the system, all right? It is the totally beginning. It has no correlation with what is happening at this particular time. The court actually have nullified these elections, and it is the mandate of INEC to conduct this election. You remember this thing is running close to almost a year, 3 months. It is not done anywhere in the world. What actually is holding INEC back? INEC should be able to carry out that core constitutional responsibility. You cannot tell me the House of Representatives is wrong, and the Senate also today, without our notice, woke up and took that same position. That is almost 109 members. Look at when the motion was moved on the floor of the House, in line with the House of Representatives. The majority leader of an APC extraction supported the motion because he knows what representation is. He knows the constitutional responsibility. He knows what it means to vote and be voted for. He knows that you cannot deprive a constituency that right of representation. What INEC is doing today is usurping a power that does not belong to it. And I think it is very, very unfortunate.
Okay. Well, interestingly, your colleagues at the upper legislative chamber, the senators today said they would suspend plenary if INEC does not conduct the elections at the ultimatum, does not meet up with the December 10 deadline. Wouldn't this be a case of throwing the baby away with the bathwater? Other issues of national importance would suffer. Is that the direction the Senate should be looking at, or the National Assembly should be looking at this time?
It is very sad and it is very disheartening, because you realize that they have done everything possible to appeal to INEC to carry out their responsibility. But what we will do is to appeal to the Senate that there are other ways to deal with INEC if we need to deal with them. Because definitely it is the House of Representatives that will pass their budget. So at the end of the day, they need to wake up and carry out that function. If they know they can't do the job, the important thing is that they should quit. Because there are 1,001 Nigerians that has the capacity to conduct this election. There are 1,001 people that can do this job. What we are trying to say is that INEC, please maintain your independence, go and conduct the election, because you cannot deprive the people of Rivers State. Look at Anambra State today. A senator is not being given the opportunity to represent his people. Take an example like Rivers. The Constitution stipulates very clearly under the provision of Section 48 that there should be 3 senators in every state. As it stands today, Rivers State doesn't have a senator in the National Assembly. How do you explain this? Because INEC has refused to carry out its own responsibility in line with the Constitution.
In just a moment, Honorable
This is not the intent and purpose of what democracy is.
In just a moment, Honorable Ogo, when you say INEC should maintain its independence, what exactly do you mean?
I am stating very clearly that INEC should carry out its core responsibility, because The Constitution states that INEC should be totally independent, and the Electoral Act has given us the power to conduct election. If there are any disagreement, the provision of Section 133 have stated that the tribunals are there for us to head to. INEC has a responsibility, and it is so sad, very, very sad that, a body that's supposed to be independent cannot go out there to conduct election.
All right, thank you very much, Honorable Leo Ogo, Minority Leader of the House of Representatives, for sharing your thoughts with us on this matter. Well, we'll take a moment. When we come back, we'll look at the expediency of the loan request by President Muhammadu Buhari. Please stay with us.